Welcome to the Mortgage Broker Podcast, tailor-made for Canadian mortgage industry professionals. Proudly presented by a Better Way Mortgage Group, this podcast is your trusted source for insider insights, market updates, and strategies to elevate your career in the ever-evolving world of mortgage brokering. Whether you're a seasoned broker with a Better Way Mortgage Group or an industry enthusiast looking to stay ahead, our episodes are designed to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in the Canadian mortgage space. All right, we're back for another episode of the Mortgage Broker Podcast, and today we're continuing on with our favorite series, the Behind the Broker series, and we have Alfredo Torres, who is one of our favorite people to simply spend time with, period. We're in Toronto, Ontario today, and again, there's a lot of cool stuff I know we're going to get into. Again, you're just a breath of fresh air to be around, full of positivity, so really happy to have you on, and thank you for being here, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for inviting me. This is a privilege. Like, I watch them consistently. So I'm, when they come out, I'm watching them, whether we're driving to a venue or something, it's there. My wife has to hear it with me. So, and there's a lot of good stuff on these podcasts. So thank you guys for doing it and being consistent with it,
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's start with yourself and what led you to start your career in the mortgage industry.
So I think, if I'm going to say it, I guess it would be fear. And if we roll that back, from a little kid, I was always an acts of service guy. So I've always wanted to help. I remember being like 6 years old and getting haircuts and waiting for my turn. And I'd want to sweep the hair because I thought, that'd be cool to help. And like the people there would be like, this kid's weird, but okay. And I would do it gracefully and with, love. And then later on, McDonald's was a big piece of my life. My mom worked there for 30 plus years. So McHappy Day would be a thing that I would always get to do. And I loved it, right? I'd get the fries, serve the fries, or get the ice cream or whatever, right? And it was awesome. And just from that, organically, 14-year-old came. My mom took me to dinner at McDonald's for my birthday, and the staff knew me because I was there every McHappy Day. And she was like, "Oh, you're 14, the boss." And she's like, "So you ever think of getting a job here?" And I'm like, "I would love that." So she's like, "Well, we have to do the process properly. So you'll start in a couple of weeks." And I was like, "Oh my God," right? So my first job, and I loved it. And I was, 14. So it just happened. So, and that's been my life. Like, when they say like, trust the process and the universe has your back, like it's been legit. So I did that for 5 years, went to McDonald's University. That was super cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they just held it at a conference center, but it's kind of like its own little organization within McDonald's. They teach you like floor planning, how to deal with customer complaints, how to recover with flair, all the little aspects as management. And that was really amazing. And, you get a lot of great training at McDonald's and places like that,
Yeah.
So I'm super grateful for that. And then every other Friday, I would go across the street to deposit my check at TD Bank because they would still give you the old like checks that you like rip apart when you get your little pay slip. Happy go-getter. I was always there. I'd chat with my teller. I became friends with one of them every Friday. So I'd let people in front and go to my gal, Chris. And 17, they were like, "You ever think of getting a job here?" And I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know." And they're like, "How old are you?" 17. "Well, you can't get one until you're 18. So they diarized it because a year later they called me and they're like, "Would you like to come in for an interview?" And I said, "Oh, I'm kind of busy. We'll figure it out later." And I kind of hung up and I go to my mom. I'm like, "These people want me to work at the bank." And I'm like, what kind of 18-year-old is going to hang out with like 35, 40-year-olds at a bank? Like, I don't belong there. And she was like, "There's a pension, there's benefits. You call them back now." And I'm like, God, I shouldn't have told you. Call them back. Hour and a half later, I have a contract.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I was making like 5 something and they gave me like 11 something. So logically I was like, I have to do this now. But they were super accepting. It was great learning. I spent 9 years there, learned how, to speak with clients. I learned everything from the teller side, went into the sales side, did the mortgages, insurance, investments, day-to-day banking. So that was a wealth of knowledge. And the training that they give you was also incredible. So all of it benefited me. Year 9 comes, optimization is happening. I'm seeing 30-year-old careers getting taken out.
Yeah.
Because, the staff isn't meeting their goals, like the sales team isn't meeting, or it's just tough times. And so I thought, well, I'm 9 years, so I don't know what kind of hold I have on that. So I told all my clients 6 months out before the end of the year, I'm like, you got investments, you got something to do, let's do it now because I'm out. And they're like, where are you going? I'm like, I don't really know, but it's either going to be investment, insurance, or mortgages because that's what I know.
Yeah.
In that group of clients, there were private lenders who then told mortgage brokers, they're like, you might want to talk to this guy. So then mortgage brokers would come to the branch and they would like hop into my little cubicle and be like, hey, here you're leaving. I'm like, who are you? Like, why are you here? And they would take me out to lunch and I would kind of avoid it because being in the branch, you don't really go out and network and stuff. You know, you got the book, you rotate the book, you talk to the people, and that's what you do. So this guy came and gave me an ultimatum after like 4 times trying to get me out. And so then I got FOMO and was like, okay, I'm going to go to lunch with this guy. And then 2.5 hours later, we're planning the exit strategy to join his brokerage.
Wow.
And that's how it happened. And thank God, you know, that I just put it out there. I needed a change and it all organically happened. And I'm grateful for it because every step of the way has only made it easier and better for me to do this, which seems to be my end game because I love what I'm doing.
I watch you in the brokerage and kind of like circling back to how helpful you are and just how engaged you are with people. You're always there. You're always putting your hand out to say, you know, what can I do for you? I think that mentality that you have and the way that you're such a resource for people. That's why all these great things come back your way, right? It's never what can you do for me? It's what can I do for you, right? And that's how I see you operate. You know, I mean, you've just in a short amount of time become one of the key pillars within the Better Way organization. And I'm super thankful that you operate the way that you do.
It's cool to hear your story from like sweeping hair. It's like exactly what I would picture you doing.
Yeah.
Just because I know you so well now. Like, you said a lot of cool stuff there, and I think I know the answer to this, but what motivates you to continue to be a mortgage broker?
I think it's just growth.
Yeah.
Growth on all aspects of life, right? Because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And so for me, growing as an individual, it will reflect out.
Yeah.
So, you know, that'll mean I'll be helping more clients. I'll be helping them, you know, grow their, you know, wealth and get their homes and their goals met, growing on the business. So building the structure of how I want to scale the business to be able to help more people, right? So it's all an evolution, right? And then in order to do any of that, I have to work on me and I have to grow open mindset, you know, learning mindset, whatever you want to call it, to be able to take that on, right? And there's a lot of in that shuffle. It's the way you do 10 mil is not the way you do 30 mil, is not the way you do 100 mil, right? So it's almost like every time you grow, you kind of shed the old version of you and you have to adapt a whole bunch of new things, which is kind of refreshing because you don't really know what you don't know until you get to those points. And then it's like, oh my God, like I can do this, and that's going to help everybody. And in turn, that's going to lift me up, you know?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you're coming up, I think, on a year now with A Better Way. And I'd love to ask you, like, what are you enjoying the most about this company and inclusive of Mortgage Architects?
There's so many things that I love of the partnership between Mortgage Architects and A Better Way. This last year has been so refreshing to me because just the way I did it before was I was kind of always under a rock. I was just like doing my thing and, you know, quiet. I never went to MPC. There was no like Whistler event like Inspire that happened this year. So like the community, the culture of it, you know, being able to hang out with you guys and we just have a real genuine conversation.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, what's your volume? What's your numbers? What's your, you know, plan, you know, and that alone, like the trust and the space that you've provided for everyone to grow organically without judgment is huge. And then from the aspect of on the business, like the perfect loan process, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have invested so much money getting the coaching to do that and sharing it, you know, for no cost. You know, it's basically there it is, do it. The result is there.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you want to do it, if you don't want to, don't do it. Right. But I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to.
Well, and I mean, that's a great point. You know, we just had a conversation with Chad Gregory, who's a VP of sales at DLC, and the amount of tools and resources that they've provided that, you know, are there for free that people just don't go and use or implement. Yeah. It always confused me, like the perfect loan process, like, man, that was like 5 years of refinement and coaching and trials and error. And man, like it works. The beautiful thing about this business is you can do it in like 20 different ways and it's all good.
That's it. There's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you know, you got the Mortgage Nerd, you know, every last Thursday of the month, you have the Tip Tuesdays. There's so much support,
Yeah.
and that infrastructure that, if you need some help with velocity, the numbers there, Mahir is there. If you need help with, connecting with lenders and stuff, you have the principal brokers, or you just have it's just the hotlines are all there for anything that fires that need to be put out.
Sometimes I'm so entrenched with the DLC group and obviously our brokerage, but even when I go through the offerings that they have from a tool perspective and a resource perspective, it really just breaks down to your point is you have everything you need in this business to be successful. You just have to have the discipline to do it. So what kind of pushes you to make sure that you're doing these things every day?
It's not a comparison thing, but I love that we have the top 50. And I love seeing the names on there and the shuffling. The top 50 is usually always the top 50, and you might get a few new names in there and aspiring to be in that top 50. What are they doing? And a lot of those guys will have a clean conversation with you, no holding back secrets. There are no trade secrets anymore.
Yeah.
Like talking to Joe, you've had a bunch of them on the podcast, and it's great hearing what they're doing. They're going through coaching as well, doing different things. And it shows you that they're all just people. And a lot of those guys are just out of their way.
Yeah.
That's a quote that I hear all the time, just get out of your way.
Yeah.
You're in your own way.
Yeah.
And Joe tells me that all the time. And I'm like, okay, let go of control. Let's just go with the wheel that's already made. You don't have to remake it, and just work,
That top 50 is kind of cool. Like, I wondered when we started doing that if people would actually look at it or cared. But the amount of calls that Dee and I and Derek would get to say, hey, Jay, I bumped up from number 20 to number 15, or how far away am I from number, X or whatever. So,
yeah.
And the one thing I will say about our top 50, to your point about culture, the top 50 in our brokerage, they are the most willing to support and guide and answer questions. And that's where I think the culture of a better way is really starting to drive, is that we all want to be a part of something successful, and our brokers want to see their fellow brokers be successful as well. And they're always willing to help. And that top 50 is a huge catalyst for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
And it goes to show you that, we're in tough times and it's very competitive out there in the market, but there's an abundance of deals. There's no short deals out there to not be had, right?
Yeah.
So you can be the 10 mil that's, on their journey going to 25, or you could be the 25 that's going to 50. The deals are out there, and no one's hoarding anything, right? So those top 50, they're telling you what to do because that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, oh, okay, they're just telling me what they need to tell me, but legit, that's what's actually happening.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Well said. And we just spent yesterday at a speed dating event that we put on for alternative lenders. And, I sat at one of the tables and engaged in that entire session. And all my questions were around BFS, business for self. How do you approach the bank statements? What are you looking at for expenses? What is being deducted from the income? Trying to get an idea of who is the best at this? Yes. Because I heard a lot of new products. I heard some new policies that I didn't know about. I bring that up because I talk to brokers every day that aren't with A Better Way, or some that are, that don't come to those events. We've been doing those events for 12 years.
Wow.
And I get the negative feedback. Oh, I know all those lenders. It's yeah, I know them all too. And I just learned a bunch of stuff yesterday that I didn't know was happening, on certain policies and products that are being released. And, Equitable Bank as an example, increasing their risk tolerance, things like that. That means new policy, flexibility. You talk about competition. Man, yeah, it's been tough. The big banks that aren't in our channel have ate our lunch in a lot of cases for more than 18 months. So why not work with clients that don't compete with those banks, right?
Absolutely.
And so you're just thinking of strategies and whatnot. And, I'm rambling on that because it's top of mind, right? But with that approach, I wanted to ask this question, long-winded way of doing it, but what is your approach to building and maintaining strong client relationships? And, there's a strategy I just outlined to keep your clients away from competitors because they're not competitors to you. But just overall, what is your approach to building and maintaining strong client relationships?
I think for me, the way I come across it is rapport. Building rapport, not just at a conscious level, but at an unconscious level, right? So, speaking to people in the model of the world that they communicate in. So if, I think there's 4 major models. There's kinesthetic, audio, visual, and audio digital, which I think is more detail orientated. And I learned this through NLP. I've done a lot of courses and stuff for communication and different unconscious kind of stuff. If you have a client and they're kinesthetic, so they're all feels, they're sitting like this, and they're like, oh, I don't feel safe, or this doesn't feel like it's gonna happen, it's gonna pan out. And you're like, well, everything looks good, I mean, the numbers are there. You're not talking to that person in their way of understanding. Yeah. So if you're like, well, okay, let's review what we have. You got your mortgage. This is the loan amount. This is the payment amount. Does that feel like an amount that's comfortable for you to pay a month based on what you make? They're like, well, yeah. Then if that's comfortable and you feel safe, then that means you can have this home and you can create your family, and, we're going to get you the MPP, and that's an extra whatever. And that's going to give you even more safety so that you can feel comfortable taking on this, big investment that you're putting into your life. And then all of a sudden, that rapport at an unconscious level, the shoulders go down. They feel like, oh, this guy understands me, like he's actually taking care of me. And that will go a long way, because at that point, consciously they know, but unconsciously they feel safe. And so now you're their guy. Now you're like, maybe it's not about mortgages. Oh, you know what? I need to build a deck, and they're going to call you because they know that you know people and they trust you, so they'll trust them.
That's a key point of just how to communicate with the different personalities that we deal with. And I mean, you see them all, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, it's funny. It's like, just on that point, like there's certain cultures too that communicate differently. When English isn't their first language, some cultures just tell me the direct advice here.
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to do? Don't give me all these options. Where then there's other cultures that like, I want like 10 options.
Exactly. I'll figure it out. I'll tell you what to do. Where other ones are like, this is overwhelming. I can't handle this. This is what I need. Figure it out.
Yeah.
I think your ability to relate to all different types of people, and to your point, figuring out how to communicate with them. This is, in my opinion, a really big topic as you move forward into AI and all of that stuff, is really focusing on your emotional intelligence and being able to connect and relate on just a human level. I think that is going to be a driver for people going forward, that I want to know that I'm working with somebody that knows me, understands me, has my best interest. And a lot of that just comes down to the communication aspect of it. As you progress, focusing on an emotional intelligence side is going to be key.
Absolutely, because that creates the experience, and everybody wants that, comfortable experience. They want to know that they're taken care of, and they want it to be as smooth and as stressless as possible, right? And sometimes, I'll get deals from realtor partners that it's going sideways, or for whatever reason, they've waived financing, they're a week out, and all of a sudden an appraisal is happening and it's not coming in. Right away, the client's jaded. They're like, oh my God, like, I don't know, like, I don't know you, and not that I don't trust you, but this has just happened. And so you have to come from where they're at, right? So their feelings, you have to assure them, you have to say, this is how the experience is going to go. Lucky for you, you already got all your docs. Just send me all your docs. I have, lender ABC. I have a super good relationship with them. They know me inside out. I know them. There's a trust there. We're going to do this as fast as we can. We're going to maybe need an extension. But guess what? When that extension happens, we're going to close on that day, because I know my job from the relationships that I have with those lenders, from speed dating, from going to different events where they're, holding stuff and knowing their policies. And that relates back to the client to give them that experience. So it's a full circle.
Great point.
And it leads me to an easy question here, is just, can you share a memorable client success story?
Yeah. You know what? I have a couple. When I first started way back in 2013, that's not that far back, but there was a credit union that did 100% financing. And I had just started in 2013 as a broker. I didn't take my list from the bank because I was loyal to the bank, even though I was leaving. So I really started from scratch. And I met a bunch of people through leads from realtors, and they didn't have down payments. And at the bank, you couldn't do 0% financing, but, Meridian, you could.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, let's just find the closing cost. Call your mom, call your dad, pull out a credit card. At that time, you could do the borrowed financing. And I helped so many people get into a house when they never knew they could.
Wow, that's cool.
And 4 or 5 years later, it's time to refi. They're sitting on a lot of equity.
Wow.
They can refi, they sell. Now they have a huge down payment for the house that they actually want. And that is so fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And unfortunately, that's out now. You can't do that today. But when I talk to them, I'm like, can't you believe it? We jumped and look at where you're at now.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God. So it's such a nice, warm conversation of like, thank God. And I'm like, I hear you, man,
Like significant wealth creation.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Like,
that's super cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Or other ones are when you have somebody that had some life changes and their credit got messed up in the process, whether it's divorce or loss of job or whatever. And they're just, they're down on their luck. They're broken in a sense. And, you create the plan with them. You meet them and you're like, okay, we're going to refi. We're going to pay out the proposal or whatever. You're going to be in a B deal for at least 2 years. But here's what we're going to do in those 2 years. We're going to get you a credit card. We're going to do this, that, and the other. And stick with me because on year 3, we're going to get you back into the A space. And some of them follow the plan. Some of them don't. But the ones that do, and you do that A deal and you close it, it's another euphoric feeling of like, oh my God, we completed this together and like you're back and, call me in 5 years or if something comes up. But it's such a special moment.
No
and
kidding.
Fulfilling,
That's your client for life.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Like you're walking them through that process. You're taking them from front to back. Where else are they going to go? And I think, even our previous conversation with Chad, it's creating a raving fan, right? Now you've done that for the client. You think at the next party that they go to or wherever they're at, they say, hey, my broker, Alfredo, this is what he did for me, right? And, that's just the groundswell that you need to start having, right?
That's it. That's it. And operating from that level, you will grow organically, right?
Totally. So kind of moving into a different segment here, just personal development. How do you maintain a healthy work-life balance? Because this business takes a lot out of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a few years back, I tried to do a work-life balance where it was 50-50. But it created like the most conflict ever in my life, because if you really try to do that balance, you're going to feel guilt when you're not working, and then you're going to feel guilt when you're not with your family.
Yeah.
Because you're never completing anything. And this job is waves, like you come Monday, you're putting out fires, you're returning all the calls, you're submitting deals, and then everything's done, submitted. And you're kind of just like, well, this is my time to make calls, to do lead generation, or there's a calm before the next storm. I got nothing to do till Wednesday or something. Let's have a movie night. Let's be present with the fam. So it's sometimes, 80-20 one way, 80-20 the other way. At this point, I'm not missing family events. I'm not missing out on things. Is my phone on me? Thank God we have these little computers called smartphones, right? So, I'll throw an email, like I'll be at a party, just step aside, okay, let's chat Monday at 2:00. Do you have time? Okay. So, the lead comes in, you hit that lead up, you confirm, hey, I see you. I want to book a time with you. We don't have to do this today.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Yeah. Okay. Then Monday at 2:00. I'm all yours. And that way, because there's lots of people out there that are hungry.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to lose the lead, but I'm also not going to do the whole app and everything right there.
Yeah.
And the way I do it now is I don't do the app over the phone. Like I send everything through email, right?
Yeah.
So the client experience and all that is the way things are way more efficient now. So
the work-life balance, like we've talked about it on some of our other pods, and I forget which broker it was. I think it was her G Driver. She said it's not work-life balance, it was work-life harmony, and having kind of synergies between the two, and knowing that, sometimes you're going to have to put more into the family side and sometimes more into the business side. So I think just figuring out your cadence and creating a harmony around that is, I think, the optimal way to look at it.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of this business. That's kind of what attracted me to this business, is I can be at my kid's lacrosse game and step out and send one quick email that takes 2 minutes and come right back in the intermission and not miss anything.
Exactly.
Right.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like pretty cool. Or, hey, you want to go on a trip with your family.
Yeah.
You can still be available to your clients in those same examples you just mentioned. It's like, hey, I can't meet with you until Monday, but I'm going to send you an email. You're going to have everything you need. Chip away at it.
Exactly.
Right. So pretty cool.
It's super cool. Yeah. The laptop,
Yeah.
whether you're going to Spain or Peru or wherever, like you're anywhere and everywhere at any time.
I never worked at a bank. And one of the biggest things that surprised me when coming into being a brokerage owner and talking to bankers that are still at the bank and, saying, hey, like trying to share them, the experience of being a broker, not just being at a Better Way, just being a mortgage broker. And I didn't realize like their laptops didn't work if they're outside of the country. Like even just to go to Scottsdale, Arizona, which is our second home where we live in BC. And it's like, so I couldn't even go there and send an email.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
It's wild. The control Big Brother, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a Big Brother super fan, so I like that. Moving on, what keeps you motivated and growing as a professional?
So, yeah, I think it's growth itself, right? So, like, I love the fact that there are no ceilings here, right? So, whatever you put into your business, you're going to get back. And for me, like, you know, the theme has always been me helping people. The fact that I can help more people, you know, get them out of debt or get them into a home, work with, you know, referral sources that want to grow as well. I can feed their buckets. I can feed mine, you know, even like giving back in the community with the agents, right?
Yeah.
I'm not like the biggest fish, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
And you know, there's always a bigger fish, right? So I might be a big fish to someone else, and I'll give them everything I have and get them up there, and then, you know, hopefully that pushes me forward too, keeps me fresh, keeps me learning the policies, keeps me plugging away, because, you know, it's infectious, right? When there's a go-getter, they're like, I'm gonna make 10 calls, you're like, oh, I'm gonna make 12 calls, you know, and we're gonna do this together, and it's just go. So yeah, working in the business is fantastic, because obviously when you have value and you're helping more people, the reciprocation is the compensation, and you know, who doesn't want that, right? Because that's only going to help you to continue to scale your business, pay for, you know, an admin assistant, director of WOW, or whatever that you need to help elevate, and it's a win-win.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. Like I think about, like, we have, you know, several team leaders within A Better Way, and you know, sometimes they'll just be having a conversation and say, hey, like, why are you doing this? Like, you could allocate all of this time to your book and growing. And, you know, typically what they come back with is they say, hey, you know, they get fulfillment out of it, but it's also the people I'm managing, they keep me on my toes, and they're actually teaching me things that I didn't know. So to your point, like, it's just that forward kind of progression in all stages.
Hey everyone, Dean here. Quick timeout from the episode to share with you the ABW Tuesday Mortgage Memo, your weekly market highlights sent directly to your inbox every Tuesday. This is certainly one you're not going to want to miss, so make sure to sign up now. You can do so with a link in the show notes, or you can head to joinabw.ca and sign up there. This is a high-level summary of market developments, regulatory updates, and housing trends every Tuesday. So hope you enjoy it, and back to the show. Are there any books, podcasts, or resources that come to mind that you would recommend to other brokers?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, different levels, obviously, again, but if you're just hopping into the business and you're banker to broker, you know, the Dustin Woodhouse series, Be the Better Broker. Book 1, I wish I had book 1 when I started, you know. I read those like 6-7 years in when he published them. And book 1, 2, 3, he's got another one. There's a lot of different mortgage broker books out there. But when you're working in your business, because you are your business, right? And it's just a reflection of you. So if something isn't working in your business, or you hit a snag, you know, you can throw the blame on, you know, like that was, you know, this situation, or that happened because of this. But if you really narrow it down, it's like, what does that have to do with me?
Yeah.
So if you work on your relationship with you, that's going to change the relationship with your business, your partners, whether it's family partners, referral sources, it doesn't matter. It's going to, whatever you change in here is going to change everything out here. So books like The Alter Ego. So I know a lot of people suffer from imposter syndrome. I was one of them. I probably still will be. You know, as you scale, you're like, oh, why do I have this seat at the table? Like, do I really belong here? But imposter syndrome is a real thing, and it's just how you manage it. You don't let it freeze you. You don't let it like paralyze you. You just have to, you know, you were raised one way, your beliefs are one type of belief, but that's not necessarily the truth, because you can see out there everyone else is doing different things and leveling up, and you want to, then maybe the best way is to have that alter ego, you know. And like, wrestling reference, since I love wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? That guy, everybody knows that guy. And when you think of Stone Cold, he's got the black vest, he's walking like he owns the place, and he's ready to, you know, take on the world. But he is just some like small dude from Texas. You know, he spent 12 years getting to that level. Even in WWE, he wasn't Stone Cold at the beginning. And what he had to do was be his authentic self, just exploded to one side. So he was his like crazy mean self, but it was the alter ego. So allowing himself to be a different version of himself, that crazy version that all of a sudden exploded into the world and of pop culture, and he is who he is now. So if for whatever reasons you have beliefs or you have, restrictions due to the upbringing of your life, be the version that you want to be and allow yourself to be that guy, maybe from 9 to 5 in your business.
Yeah.
And then eventually that alter ego will let you just be that, maybe a little bit like, calm down, right?
I like that. That's a great reference.
So The Alter Ego is a book.
Yeah.
I forget who the author is.
We'll link it in the show notes.
The Mountain is You is another book.
Cool.
That book is really big on beliefs and being in your way. It does factor a lot of unconscious stuff and emotional stuff. And it's a tearjerker book, especially those last few chapters, but it really puts things into perspective. And then it allows you to be like, okay, these other things can be my reality. Do the work in the book, and then all of a sudden things change.
Oh, cool.
So moving on, key business impacts. Like, what's the biggest factor you would say that's influenced your business?
I think in the last few years, it's all relationships, right? And it comes from the beginning in the relationships of the lenders and your BDMs, your underwriters, your mortgage officers. Obviously things go sideways, but there's no need to reprimand them or yell at them or degrade them because they're asking for another document and you feel silly for asking the client. They're trying to win the deal with you, right? They're not trying to block you from getting the deal. So it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars for the deals that you're funding. So build that relationship with those partners in the business, in the industry that you work with, and things will be easier. You're not going against the grain with them. Oh, I need this extra statement. Okay, help me understand why. Not because I'm challenging you, because I don't want to do this again. So that way I can identify when I need this, and then my client relationship will go better.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, just how important it is to build relationships with our lender partners and how important our lender partners are to us. And just being, on the other side of the keyboard is just it's not going to empower anything from a success perspective. Like, that's such a good point. It's like, why are you asking for this? So you don't ever have to ask me for that again. I'll have it up front.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. It's not, they're doing this to me. If that comes up, it's a point for you to learn something.
Yeah.
Right. And again, like that comes back full circle to your client. Hey, listen, I've done this before. We're going to need to get these 2 extra documents, and maybe we'll need them, maybe we won't, but we'll have them so that you're not stressing out at the 9th hour to get me this so that we can fund.
Totally.
I mean, our lenders are the lifeblood of our business, right? And without lenders, we don't have a business, right? I get very surprised and upset when I hear some brokers, yelling or being, abrasive with the lenders. But, we're fortunate at A Better Way. Like, I would say that we have some of the best BDMs in the entire country that are attached to us. And what I found with them is they're very resourceful, they're very responsive, and they can really help you with not only deal scenarios, but actually in your own business and helping you understand things that maybe you didn't have a grasp of. And, establishing and building that relationship as I bring brokers into the company. One of the things that I touch on is the importance of making sure you're reaching out to your BDM and getting to know them on a personal level and having them act as your advocate.
Absolutely. Because they're people, they have goals. And, some of them are measured by how much volume they're getting in, and that reflects their, compensation.
Yeah.
So, there's certain lenders that they create calculators and they're like, I'll share it with you. Give me a half an hour and we'll go through your database and, we'll look at the opportunities and hopefully you send them to us,
Yeah.
And there's even lenders that I've called in the past where I'm like, I want to do this deal with you. And they're like, nah, it's not going to happen. But you know what? Go to these 2 guys because they'll do it.
Yeah.
So they're selfless too, right? Because at the end of the day, and that's the cool part, everybody just cares about getting the deal done. It doesn't have to be with them. It just, let's help somebody else get somewhere.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, we have a BDM back in Vancouver, Matthew Sheriff. Like, he's probably most of our agents' first call for an alternative file. Not because his particular institution is going to fund the file, but he tells everyone exactly who will do it. Like, he knows his competition inside and out.
Amazing.
What a great sales relationship tactic that is. He's their first call. So he's going to get the deal if they can do it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic approach, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The value is there.
Totally. So kind of getting into the wrap up phase of this episode is one of our favorite segments is the tools, tips, and tactics. And first question, what tools or software are you finding essential to your daily work?
So ever since onboarding, I've been part of Velocity.
Yeah.
And, originally was using the Philogics version of Velocity just because there's a lot to take in. But, I'm getting used to the third version, the newest version, and it's flowing well. It's flowing fantastic. And along with that is Gold Rush. So from the beginning, I was put on Gold Rush. I didn't have any qualms with anyone having my data or information like that. Just, it's part of the DLCG group. So, it's fine. And, it's been working, like this Thanksgiving that just came, it sent it out automatically. I didn't do anything. And, I got a couple of refis. I got a couple of thank yous.
How cool is that?
It's amazing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great, and every season that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And over, and whatever else is going out there.
Yeah.
So, it's great to be in their faces and it's doing it automatically. My wife, Carla, handles a lot of that kind of stuff. Right. So I don't really know what's going on, but I know that it's happening.
Yeah.
And that's kind of on autopilot, and I just keep plugging away.
That set it and forget it and being able to trust it is huge because, we've talked about this a number of times on the podcast and daily, just working in this business. That Thanksgiving email will look different next year. Somebody on that team is going to rewrite it. So it's not like the same one every time. It's not the same happy birthday message. It actually looks personalized, right?
Yes.
So I think that's huge. That's a great
and I think they added to Gold Rush different new campaigns too.
Yeah.
So it's always evolving, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, I use Lender Spotlight. Lender Spotlight, Discovery's there, but I was using Lender Spotlight before, so I'm pretty comfortable. And I love Lender Spotlight for the reason that the policies are there too.
Yeah, the policies,
They also have an AI feature. I don't really use that much, but it's just super comfortable. DocuSign. I use my own DocuSign. And there's one thing that I've been using that's super helpful lately. Penalty Mentor, Matt Imhoff.
Yep.
So that penalty calculator is pretty accurate. Yeah. So, when you're breaking existing files or, you have a new client and you can figure out the penalty. Usually you got the formulas there, but just throw it in there. You get a nice little printout. You can share it, and then you can ask the client, call it a verify, or just say, this is the estimate. It's not going to be too far from here. So when we refi, we'll account for this much money. It gives that visual to the client so that, there's kind of like an accountability piece, but you're still disclosing that, at the end of the day, it could change if rates change beforehand. So those are the main tools that I use. And other than that, like I rely on, if I have questions, like, ABW Ontario, at least, with the colleagues, you call, you talk to them, right? Hey, I got a property with a floodplain, who can do this? How are we going to do this? There's so many unique situations, and there's really some agents out there that work with just unique situations, not their own.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
There's such a wealth of resources and people willing to help.
Yeah.
Is there one tip or strategy that's been a game changer for your business?
I think for me, the coaching aspect, I've had some coaches in the past, like personal coaches for the relationship with me, and then some mortgage coaches too. And if you're new to the business, get a mentor. There's so many of us out there that want to help, and we're busy, so we will help, right? Obviously you have to listen too, right? So there's a give and take there, but we can help you get to certain levels, and then from there, if you exceed us, then fantastic. And then you're going to need somebody else, obviously. But at the end of the day, if you're a banker to broker, just hook up with someone, figure out if there's a comp there, or maybe you're just helping with deals. You're listening to the calls. So that way you can grow exponentially. It doesn't take you so much time to get to those levels, because if you have somebody there guiding you, you can see what you don't know and you can explode.
I totally agree. I mean, even just the power, when I started in the industry, it was my mentor at the time. The value that I got, obviously from her mentorship, but just sitting in the office, I would go to the office every day and just listen to her talking on the phone and taking an app with her and doing all that kind of stuff. Like, that was worth its weight in gold to me, is just listening to those calls and how do you interact. Getting mentorship is paramount.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you stay updated on industry trends and improve your skills?
Okay, so the industry trends, there's so much out there. Mortgage Logic News. Yeah, fantastic.
I'm a big fan.
Me too. I pay the subscription.
I read every single one.
Everything. FISRA, there's an email to FISRA. You can get all the updates there. And I think Tembo has like an analysis thing. There's so many websites that will tell you, here's all the insurers, here's our quarter 3 results, or, what the market trends are or whatever, and it's kind of overwhelming, to be honest, because I have FOMO, so I sign up to everything.
Yeah.
And then I just get all the emails and I'm like, oh my God, where do we start, And so I have my favorites and I'll read those. And then from there, it's, it's just sitting in there. But there is so much information and it's not blocked. It's not hidden from you.
Yeah.
You just have to reach out.
Yeah. It's a good point. I'm the same way. I have FOMO of not getting it and not having it. And I'm subscribed to all these things. I pay for all the ones you got to pay for. A tip for me is I'm not going to be able to read them when they come in, but I do have them going into a folder automatically through a filter. And I have moments of the day or a week that I just read. I'll isolate the ones that I really want to, flag that are important, that I know are going to be important. And then now I'm taking all of those and I'm actually putting them into AI.
Oh, yeah?
You just copy and paste the whole email right into AI and ask it to summarize, 5 key takeaways for this purpose. Like, how can a mortgage broker benefit from these? Or how can a realtor benefit from these? Because now that could be content to your realtor.
Yes.
It could be reasons to call your realtor. Hey, I just heard about this. You should know about this. And here's the article.
Right. You know what? It's true. I actually just used it in that sense. I think last week there was an announcement, something to do with the tax, right, on properties are not going to be put on anymore. And I had two realtors reach out and be like, hey, what's the news that just came out? And I'm like, well, the rate announcement was yesterday. But I'm like, you know what? Just give me a minute. I just on a call. And then I hopped onto AI and I was like, a realtor just reached out to me about news. Tell me what has happened just in today, and then it spit it all out, and I was like, oh my God. I put it on my little template that I have. I sent it out. I'm like, hey, I just sent you an update or a better explanation to what's going on. And so like definitely want to rely on AI.
Totally.
Because AI right now I feel is great for processes, is great for that kind of stuff, summarization, collection of data in that sense. I don't know about, is it super safe for filtering bank statements yet or anything like that. I think it's got a lot to learn still, but use it in its right place.
I mean, like the OpenAI is, you can't be putting personal data on those types of platforms. There's certain AI features where you can turn that function off. It's changing every day and it is quite crazy.
One thing I'll just mention to circle back is content that you can share with your realtor partners. Or as an example, like I feel like often brokers are like, well, I want to make a phone call, but I don't want it to be cold, right? So what are you providing from a value perspective? And I know Dean puts together a Tuesday memo that goes out every week. So if you're not signed up to our weekly memo, I would suggest doing that. There's a lot of tips that I read those memos religiously, but there's a lot of things that we can pull out of that where you could take to a referral partner and say, hey, I just came across this article. I thought this may be helpful for you. And those are just nice ways for you to provide value and to reach out at the same time.
Yeah. And then you're top of mind, right? So then maybe you get the next lead or something, right?
Totally.
So absolutely. Value.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Looking ahead, what are your goals for next year?
I think next year, because now, this year for me, especially with joining the organization, there was a lot of culture I had to learn.
Yeah.
The compliance side from where I came to how it is done here is very different. It's much more thorough, detailed. And then again, with FinTrack and all that, this year was kind of a kibosh year not kibosh, but it was definitely a more challenging year for me in that sense. Volume was okay. And so now that, I'm familiar with all the policies, processes and everything, I think this year I'm going to double the volume that I did this year or for next year. Yeah, because I got my wife coming on, so she's going to be a registered agent in about a month.
Yeah,
and so that's going to give me more ability to spread my wings and do what I do, so that she can handle the fort.
She seems all in. She's at all the events. She's at the Whistler event. Like she seems pretty excited about it too. So that's going to, I'm sure add a lot of energy to what you're doing.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So I think at least doubling the volume, which probably put me just over 50.
Wow.
Which is like,
that's incredible.
That's new high record for me. And that's going to open so many doors. Right. So that's going to be amazing.
You'll do that.
Yeah. That's super cool. How do you see the mortgage industry evolving and how are you preparing for it?
So I think the mortgage industry is going to continue to evolve. And yes, there's more competition and AI is getting in there. But again, going back to the experiences and the feelings and the relationships with those people, right? There's nothing like that rapport and that unconscious trust and the trust factor, period. Because, AI will do what they can do and it's going to be super impressive. But those conversations and creating that experience is everything. So are the deals going to get maybe more convoluted? Yeah. So you're definitely going to have to up your game in the sense of the policies and knowing how to finesse that deal to get it approved, because everything is hairy, everything is challenging. But if you understand it from the lender side, you understand it from the client side, now you truly have that value from both ends, and then you can assure it with your client that, hey, we got you, don't worry about it. You've heard these horror stories from other places. That's okay. We've put those fires out sometimes. Most times we're not going to let it get there.
Yeah, I love that. So last piece here before we close out, what advice would you give to a new mortgage broker entering this space today?
Entering the space, just be ready to hustle, right? Be ready to grind. Consistency and discipline is everything, right? So Mike Tyson said a quote on Joe Rogan, and it was, discipline is doing the things that you hate doing, but doing it like you love them. And so usually there are things that you know you need to do, but you won't do them because they're hard.
Yeah.
But those things, if you do them, those are the things that will get you to soar.
Yeah.
Right? So being uncomfortable, pushing through the uncomfort, doing the things that other people aren't doing. And if you're new, that's almost everything.
Yeah.
Because you're going from, like, if you're at a bank, like for me, when I was at TD, it was information overload because I left TD's way to go learn, abundance of A lenders and then B lenders, because that wasn't at the bank, and then private lenders. So like I remember showing up to the brokerage and I'd have to leave at like 3 and go take a nap because it was just too much for like 3 months, and not having shame. Like there's no shame in not knowing what you don't know, right? Because a lot of the lenders will teach you. Right? A lot of those BDMs, they're going to teach you because you're going to remember them for helping them help you, and the deal's going to go there. And they understand that if you're new, that's fine. Let's teach you to do it the right way rather than be 10 years in the game and you're still doing it, not half-assed, but like different, and it makes work for everybody else.
Such a good point. I remember my first BDM, and this is now 21 years ago, Larry Bond. And Larry was the guy that I would pick up the phone. I'd make the call to him because Larry didn't make me feel stupid for asking stupid questions.
Right.
So, yeah. And I'll always remember him as being my first BDM go-to person.
Yeah, for sure. And that's always the guy you're going to be like, I'm going to go do it with him because, and so, yeah, just don't have shame. Don't have fear. Or if you feel the fear, do it anyways. That's another book. That's another great book.
Yeah.
Love that book. If you do all those things, you will be able to really raise yourself and be able to provide the value and see the benefits of it.
Totally. Man, this was awesome. Like, it's exactly what I expected. These are the conversations that we typically have every time we're together. So it's just, I knew this would be a natural for you. And we just really thank you for coming on here, man. It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, every time we fly into Toronto, Dean, Derek, and I were like, we got to talk to Alfredo. So
yeah, you're on our mind a lot, man.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys. From this first time we met at the airport.
Yeah.
That was an organic, beautiful
totally.
time together.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys, and you guys have always been there whenever something comes up, and yeah, it's just a great time hanging out. So,
totally.
And before we end off the show, I just wanted to say congratulations, because you're 58 episodes in for the year, and with the 3 that were filmed this week, you're going to be in the 60s. So you guys are doing like an episode a week, and consistency is not easy, especially when you're running a brokerage the way you guys are. So bravo to you guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
No,
Appreciate
for sure.
that.
Now let's flip the switch. So you've been able to share a lot of the agents and a lot of the partners in the business. When do we get to hear how ABW was just a thought that evolved into getting ABW and then harnessing ABW to evolve it to what it is today?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time we've been asked that. It's a great piece of content that we would be happy to create. Like, just on the consistency and doing this, like, we love doing this, and that's why we do it. We have such great people within our industry and our brokers that are willing to just share everything. And so it makes it a lot easier just from that point. And when can we share our story? Like, maybe you can interview us.
Totally. I'd be down for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a good point. Like, I think there's a lot of areas we can go just within our own journey in the industry. For each of us is a little bit different. And there's a lot of history at A Better Way. And, we weren't the founders at A Better Way, but, the guys that did found it, there's some excellent individuals that built a really cool thing that we were just able to build up, on top of. So we'll definitely get back to you on that, and we'll probably take you up on you being the interviewer if you're open to it.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear the stories, right?
Cool.
Because you got 3 individuals, and somewhere in the whole path you guys met, and then created an idea, and then it's back to the universe has your back, and trust the process, because I mean, you guys put your heads together, you put your energy in it, and here we are.
I love it.
It's been fun, man. Like, I think about just the partnership, talk about Dean, Derek, and I in the West, and obviously Joe and Corey, but we work together obviously every single day. We talk every day. They become 2 of my best friends. And I think what the real cool thing is, at least from my perspective, is everyone says, man, you guys must put in so much work, and we do, but the brokers within our brokerage have quickly become our friends too, right? It's just like sitting here with you, right? Like, we're doing a podcast and it's work, but it's also fun, like getting to know your McDonald story, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's kind of what drives me anyways, is just the connections and the friendships that I built. And, when you start looking at things that way, that's where excitement for growth. And we talk about big growth and expansion goals. If we're successful, you're successful, and we all seem to be working in the right direction and kind of doing it all together. So that makes the job easier.
It's the organic way to grow. When people have the same values, everything just jives, and it's just so much more exciting and fun, and it doesn't feel like work.
Couldn't agree more. All right. Well, thank you for bringing that up. We'll be back on top of that very soon with some updates. If somebody wants to reach out to you, and I know you're always willing to help, because how to contact you is alfredo@alfredohelps.ca.
Right? So. It really just took its own life, the brand and everything. For sure. That's the email. I'm open to a call or a text too, 705-727-2794. Anytime, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for tuning in. If you found value in this show, please subscribe to our channel on your preferred platform. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Your support is incredibly appreciated. We also welcome your reviews and feedback, which are crucial in helping us deliver outstanding educational content. Feel free to share your thoughts. A 5-star review would be fantastic if you think we earned it. Lastly, a vital announcement about Backpack Buddies, our chosen charity for 2025. This remarkable organization addresses a hidden hunger issue many are unaware of in British Columbia. While school districts provide meals during school hours, numerous children face food scarcity at home, particularly during the weekends. Backpack Buddies steps in to support these vulnerable children, ensuring they have easy-to-prepare, familiar food for weekends. This is achieved through collaborations with schools and an extensive distribution network. Your contribution can make a significant difference. With just $20, you can give a child in need a food bag from Backpack Buddies filled with enough meals and snacks to sustain them over the weekend and more. Once again, thank you for listening, and see you on the next one.